The following is a special presentation of Ashland University's College of Arts and Sciences.
Everyone, and welcome to another episode of the CAS Spotlight, a show where we spotlight different departments, staff, and faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences. With 17 departments across campus, Ashland's CAS encompasses a wide range of programs, including a very unique major in the biology department. Today, we have two special guests to help us explore the toxicology major here at Ashland. Joining us today are Dr. Mason Posner, the chair of the Biology Toxicology Department, and Dr. Andrew Trimble, a faculty member who teaches toxicology. Thank you so much for joining us on the CAS Spotlight.
Yep, thanks for having us. Thank you.
All right, so I want to start out simple by asking you, what exactly is toxicology for those of us who don't know?
Well, basically, toxicology is the study of poisons and their effects on living organisms. Beyond that, we're also interested in chemical contamination and its effects on the environment. So essentially, we study all of those chemicals that could be potentially toxic to living organisms. We're interested in pesticides, pharmaceuticals, industrial chemicals, household chemicals, and even things like plant and animal toxins.
Okay. That's really interesting. So how long has this department been on the Ashland University campus?
The program and the major started in 1986.
Okay.
There was a faculty member in the department at the time who was collaborating with Will Research Laboratories. That's a contract research organization here in Ashland. That's a company that gets hired by other companies to test the toxicity of chemicals. And these may be environmental poisons, they may be pharmaceuticals they're testing for eventual human use. And they were interested in having a program here in Ashland that they could coordinate and cooperate with that could potentially train students who could go and work at Will or go into other diverse areas in toxicology. So that's where the program developed, started slowly, maybe 4 students that first year. One of the first students to graduate from that program is the operations manager at Will today, and another one of our graduates went on to get her PhD and is a study director at Will. And we still have a very close relationship with them, and the program just grown since then.
That's great. It sounds like it's really hands-on.
Yes.
So what is this program designed to do?
Well, essentially what we want to do is train our students to be not only biologists, but also have a strong chemistry emphasis for those students that want to go on and work in the realm of the environmental sciences or in the pharmaceutical industry. For example, and just to give them that extra emphasis in the physical sciences that they wouldn't typically get built into the program with a biology degree.
And the program offers something that's unique. It's one of 10 undergraduate toxicology programs. It's an area that's usually studied at the graduate level, and probably the only one in the country taught at a small college, medium-sized university. So students get a type of curriculum that they're rarely going to get at other colleges in an environment with small class sizes where they can work closely with our faculty members. So we think it's really unique in the country offering this kind of curriculum at this level and the way that we do it.
That's really cool. Because we're one of only 10, does that draw students from all over the country? Do you have students that live in different states?
Well, surprisingly not. Most of our students, in fact, a vast majority of our students are from a fairly local area, at least from Ohio. And so that's surprising, actually, considering that you have to go as far away as Penn State or even Berkeley to find a similar program to what we have here.
So we think there's definitely the potential to draw students from a wider area and perhaps even international students who would be very interested in the drug development aspects, environmental pollution aspects that we teach in the program.
Okay, so what is unique about our particular program that would draw those students?
Well, if you look at the other toxicology programs around the country, there are really two branches of toxicology, you can think of it that way. Those that study human health toxicology and those that study environmental toxicology. And to find a program that brings both of those together into a single program is difficult to find. Maybe one or two other colleges in the nation offer that kind of diversity in their toxicology major, for undergraduates anyway. And so that's something that we can offer here at Ashland University if you're human health minded, or if you're environmental minded, or even if you're interested in agriculture or the veterinary sciences. We're going to cover that material here in our coursework.
Okay. Now, I'm just curious. I want to know from both of you, what drew you to toxicology personally?
Well, I'm actually not a practicing toxicologist. I'm fortunate to chair a department that has this really unique program and to be able to work with toxicologists who then do collaborative work with other members of the department. So it's fantastic to be able to be involved in that program, but I'll let Dr. Trimble talk about the field itself.
Well, what drew me to toxicology really is the holistic nature of the discipline itself. It really infuses all aspects of science into one discipline. It's not just biology, it's also a strong chemistry emphasis. There's physics and mathematics and even geology, meteorology, even law and policy are infused into the discipline. And so for somebody like me, that I don't like to be defined as just a biologist, so to speak, for somebody that's more general science minded, it's a great discipline.
Okay. So for the students on campus might be wondering, what kind of classes would a toxicology major be taking?
Well, the first toxicology course that they would take is our 300 level Principles of Toxicology course, where, as the name implies, they learn the basic fundamentals and basic principles of toxicology. They get a review of chemistry and basic biological principles, a review of statistical procedures and things like that, and then we get into, again, all just a general overview of the discipline of toxicology. The follow-up course to that is the methods in toxicology. That's required for all toxicology majors, of course. That's a lab-based course where we take the principles that we learned in the first class and now we start to apply it in a laboratory setting. So they're actually going to get hands-on experience in a variety of different toxicological assays and testing, things that Will Research Institute, the types of tests that they run, other consulting agencies. They're going to learn a little bit about what it takes to run tests like that. And a brand new course that we have just this semester for the first time is called Toxic Agents. And this is a very much an advanced course as far as undergraduate work goes in this field. And here students are learning about basically all of the different major classes of toxins that are out there, and environmental contaminants as well, and learning very mechanistically. We know that these things are toxic potentially, but now we're going to really learn why they're toxic, essentially.
And I'll add about the methods course, walking the hallways and seeing the students involved in that class. They're in there doing research. They're doing research studies within the course. About half of the students in our program do independent research with a faculty member. But for those that don't, they still get that research experience in courses like this that are going to be relevant to jobs they're applying for, graduate schools they want to go to.
That's great.
And we've mentioned the one class, the series we didn't mention is Pharmacology Toxicology, one-year sequence that our students take their senior year. And for those with that health-minded area, thinking about medicine or physician assistant, to have an entire year where they're learning about pharmacology is very unusual at the undergraduate level. So we think that really lets our students stick out.
Definitely. I think that the hands-on aspect is really important in this major.
Definitely.
All right, we're going to take a break. This is the CAS Spotlight. We'll be back with more about Ashland's Toxicology Department right after this short break.
I think what makes us unique is that we've brought together journalism, video, and audio, all three of those elements together, and converged them so that we reflect the industry and how things are going today. Our philosophy is to train you so that what you're doing here reflects what's happening out there in the real world. Additionally, you're getting those liberal arts benefits. We are academically rigorous. We're going to make you a good critical thinker, an excellent writer, and really set you out into the world with the knowledge base that you need to have in order to be successful.
just joining us on the CAS Spotlight, our guests today are Dr. Mason Posner and Dr. Andrew Trimble from the Ashland University Toxicology major inside Ashland's College of Arts and Sciences. All right, so we just finished up talking about what kind of classes a student would take in this major. What kind of students, what type of students would you say succeed in this major?
Well, definitely students that are chemistry minded, because built into the program, and this is what makes it different from a biology degree, is we have a number of chemistry courses and advanced chemistry courses built into the program that are required for a toxicology major. A biology major could take them as electives, of course, but it's actually built into the degree for toxicology. Also, a little bit extra math is required. And so students that want to be a biologist or very biology minded without wanting to be a full chemistry major and just want something sort of in between. So those students really excel. And this program is great for the pre-professional students, particularly pre-medicine, pre-veterinary, pre-dentistry, certainly pre-pharmacy. Any students that want to go on to potentially handle pharmaceuticals or work for a pesticide manufacturer or pharmaceutical production, they are, for obvious reasons, going to find a lot of usefulness in a major like this, because they do learn about why these chemicals act the way they do in living organisms.
That's great.
Another benefit of having the major in our program is you don't have to be a toxicology major to take these courses. So the ones that we've talked about, any of our majors can take them, any biology major can take them. And we have a lot of non-toxicology majors taking advantage of a pharmacology course and a principles in toxicology course. So we call them our virtual tox majors, because they may be one course shy of a toxicology major. They graduate as a biology major, but they've taken a lot of the curriculum and they get a lot of that training.
Okay. I would think that would be useful in a lot of the sciences to have one or two of those classes to have on their resume.
Definitely.
Yep.
So what kind of research are you guys doing right now or have done in the past couple of years?
Well, currently, I myself in my own research lab have 4 separate research projects going. I have a total of 5 undergraduate students currently engaged in research in my lab, and they're working on everything from assessing the levels of toxins in poisonous invasive plants to working with pesticides like DDT. And also, we recently had a story featured in the Columbus Dispatch that dealt with one of my students' research in just what happens with all this salt that's washing off of the highways, all these saline de-icing agents. They're bound to get into surface water out in the environment, and so we're assessing, you know, when we get these mixes of all these different salts flushing into the water, could that have some effect on invertebrate organisms that live in the surface water? So that's an example of one research project. The plant research, I have 2 students working on that right now, and what they're basically doing is, since these invasive plants are often poisonous and they're becoming a lot more widespread throughout the state of Ohio and beyond, there's a growing concern in agriculture that if this material gets incorporated into hay or other livestock feed, or from a homeowner's perspective, if I'm composting material that unknowingly contains these poisonous species, could these people be at risk from this? And could livestock be at risk if they consume hay that contains this material? The USDA has reported some instances of livestock poisoning in the past, and again, as this stuff gets more widespread, it becomes more of a threat. So we've got 2 students actually looking at the levels of toxin as we degrade this material, as we dry it, as we compost it. And the other research project dealing with DDT, I have a student that is, of course, DDT is a banned insecticide that was once heavily used globally, and has been banned in the United States since 1972. Well, DDT had saved millions of lives in the years that it was in use, through the 40s, 50s, and 60s, by controlling insect-carried diseases like malaria and typhus. And so there's been this ongoing debate that should we have banned this substance? And while we don't get locked into that debate, what we are doing is trying to add to the database of research as to the ecological effects of this substance. So if DDT is in use again, And there are some countries that are already, once again, using DDT to control mosquitoes. If this does get into the environment, what effects can we expect to organisms in streams and lakes? And we have additional research going on in other labs where they're looking at mixtures of potential toxins and their effects to bacteria and other organisms. So a very broad base of research.
Right, and these are extremely important topics to dive into.
And my little contribution to toxicology, because I'm not a professional toxicologist, is that Dr. Trimble and I collaborated with a student for their honors thesis using zebrafish, which is the little model species that I work on, but testing different pesticides on the development of zebrafish embryos to see how these pesticides may affect aquatic organisms. And that was the student's honors thesis. That student's now a PhD candidate at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, in their toxicology program.
That's great.
And was a great example of a student who came in, actually did multiple research projects, but this was their toxicology-based project, and is now off doing their graduate work in toxicology.
Something that both of you have mentioned is that you're working hands-on with your students, which I think is incredibly important. Can you talk a little bit about how this is helping them?
Well, I think in the sciences it's crucial. Like I said, about half of our majors do independent research. Those that, with faculty, those that don't learn lab techniques in their classes. So all of our students learn lab techniques. But for students that want to go on to graduate school or get jobs in biotechnology industry, particularly, it's really crucial for them to have independent research experience and understand how to work in a lab.
It definitely makes them more marketable, and it's very competitive because we are limited in the number of positions we can offer to students. So it is very important that they have that goal in mind, that they do definitely want to get into the research lab and do that work. But those students that don't do that, we still help them in finding internships, both locally and even nationwide, and are willing to help them out there as well. So even if they don't get into the research here at AU, they still have an opportunity to go do research at other facilities as well. So
That's wonderful.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go to another break. When we come back, we'll have more on Ashland's toxicology department right after this short break.
What makes our journalism and digital media department unique from maybe some of the other colleges and universities in Ohio is that we offer the opportunity for students to get involved. We don't ask them to go off and take their general classes and come back in 2 years. We ask them to get involved from the very first day.
Just joining us, our guest on this edition of the CAS Spotlight are Dr. Mason Posner and Dr. Andrew Trimble from the Ashland University toxicology major inside Ashland's College of Arts and Sciences. All right, so before the break, we were talking about your students and working hands-on with them. And you also mentioned that some of the students here have gone on to grad school. What schools have they attended after Ashland University?
It's nice because we have a small program. We know our students well. We follow them after they leave, and we hear back from them. We get to follow their careers. So a few schools. I mentioned that a student that went to UNC Chapel Hill has started there. We've had other students go to Chapel Hill. The study director at Will Research, she got her PhD in toxicology at University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and we've had another student go there from the toxicology program as well. We've had students, Ohio State's a common one, obviously, for our state. We had a student go to the University of Iowa to get a degree in toxicology and pharmacology, who is now a postdoctoral researcher at the Cleveland Clinic. And another student who's now an assistant professor at the Ohio Northern College of Pharmacy. So they really go to diverse places. I mean, with this kind of degree, you can go anywhere in the country and there are a lot of different diverse career options for when they get out, industry, academia, multiple places to go.
That's great to know. As a student, you want to get hired, right? So I'm going to ask you, is this degree growing? Do you think that there's a future? Do you think it's going to pop up at more universities?
Oh, it's definitely growing here at AU, and that's our goal, is to keep it growing. We want to keep adding majors. Certainly, like I mentioned earlier, we added this new course just this semester, always expanding upon the diversity in the courses that we already teach. And what's nice about this, in addition to growing the program, being a small university, we can tailor that program to whatever class of students. If I have a class of students that are all human health minded, I can tailor the program that we have. And so, like I said, in addition to growth, we have that luxury because we have those small class sizes. Certainly the addition of more research positions for students in our laboratories, and I certainly would think that other universities would want to pick up on this because it is, like, as I had said before, a very holistic field, and it's just a great discipline all around.
That's great. Now I'm going to close by asking you, do you have anything you'd like to talk about with this major in particular? I mean, I'm sure you could talk about it for hours, but it just seems so interesting. Do you have anything you want to add?
One thing that I would like to add, because of the community that we're in here at Ashland, it is very agricultural, and it's a small, tightly knit community. And right off the bat, AU is a great school for folks like that, from a community like this. But another area that I'm always trying to expand upon is that agricultural and veterinary science realm. And so any students that are interested in that sort of thing, when they come to visit me and visit AU, I always try and mention that if you are agriculturally minded, toxicology is a great program to get into here specifically at AU because it is so rare. And so that is something that I always like to stress with students. So.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. I think that this has been very educational. We'll be back with another look inside Ashland University's College of Arts and Sciences on the next edition of the CAS Spotlight. From all of us in our Center for the Arts studios, I'm Rebecca Ribley. So long, everybody.